All right, so this is Rosemary Jane. I'm with the Learning Technologies team in the CPS ITM department. I'm here with Kimberly McLean, and she is moderating our chat. Our topic today is Schoology Basics. Because this is a first evening session we offered, I did not aim this at any grade level. I know that the Schoology Basics on our schedule during the day have said K to 6 or 7 to 12 or elementary. This is just Schoology Basics. So on the third slide of our schedule, and then Kimberly, if you could drop that schedule in the chat so people can refer to it. The agenda for Schoology K to 6 or 7 to 12 is about the same. So it says here 2 ways to add materials to a course. Good way, not so good. I don't know about that part of it, but I'm going to show you the 2 ways that I add materials to a course. How to add assignments, files, links, or a discussion board. How to move material around in your course. How to save materials to your resources. We're going to kind of look at that in conjunction with the first one because we can also build in our resources. How to add the Google Drive app. We're going to do that through resources as well. And how to view some parent information. I'm going to very lightly touch on that because my 8 p.m. session is all about parents. And if you can't make the 8 p.m., I also do have a video in my YouTube channel already on connecting parents. There will be Q&A at the end. So with that, we're going to begin. So when we go into Schoology, let me land in the main page first. It's slow. All right. When we land in Schoology on the main page, we land in our updates from either our curriculum teams, courses that we are in, or as students, or courses that we are administrators of. Our updates are there in chronological order. So if you make it just a routine habit to scroll through and read those, you'll always hit a point where you know, oh, I read that earlier today or read that yesterday. So keeping up with your updates when you first log into Schoology is one really easy thing to add to your routine habits of using Schoology. So I've landed in Schoology, I see my updates. Some folks have been playing around with the course dashboard view. I only recommend that for primary students, young students, or students with in need of special accommodations, because this is a tile visual look. Please don't set that though if you are a CPS staff member. Leave it on recent activity because you don't want to miss an important update from either the Office of Curriculum and Instruction or from different courses that you're a member of. So that's your landing page. Over here to the right is some important notifications, like if you have something overdue, reminders, and then what's coming up on your calendar is all here. Now you can view your calendar right up here in the blue bar. And all of these links are fairly self-explanatory. So I want to get into the nuts and bolts of the basics of using Schoology for you, building your coursework for remote learning. So looking across the top, the first one is courses. If you have a roster in PowerSchool, if you have a class in PowerSchool, you have a roster, then you already have a course in Schoology. If you don't, then if you're in a role like as a specialist, maybe reading specialist to support the classroom, or maybe you're in another support role in the district, you may want to create either a group, which you can create and moderate, or what I more recommend is that you co-admin with an existing course. So we're going to be looking in courses today. And when I click on courses, there's a couple of things for you to note on the navigation experience on a computer. When I click on courses, I get these 12 tiles here. Those are the first 12 courses I'm enrolled in. Most students are not going to be enrolled in more than 12 courses. So this view works great for students. But many staff members have more than 12 courses. So sometimes if you can't find a course, you have to go over to My Courses. So we click on Courses, My Courses, and then you get an alphabetized list of all the courses that you are in, whether you're a student or an admin of those. I have a ridiculous amount because I'm a system admin, but that's how you can access your courses. We're going to look at a sample course, bare bones. If you click on any one of your courses and you have not added materials yet, this is what you're going to land in. Courses are set to default on the materials page. They have this blue generic icon of a book and pencil. It's their icon to represent a course. And then they have this button here called Add Materials. Now, to the far left are all of the various features of the course, like the updates page, your gradebook. I'm going to skip on down a bit. Members is down here. So a lot of the work that we have to do is in this left panel menu. Over on the right, far right panel is where the calendar for this specific course is. Now you'll notice when I haven't published anything, there's nothing there, but maybe on the home page, I might have things appearing on my calendar. And that's because another course that I'm in or that I administer has something on the calendar. But when I'm within this course, there's nothing there. This is a clean, never used before course. All right. The update section, I believe I actually did not delete these, so this is not empty because this is my sample. The update section is where I can post an update. That's like a message to the course members. Your updates do all stay here on the updates page, and they stay in chronological order. So the most recent one is at the top. That's really helpful. But another good thing about that is they all go to the main landing page and they stay in chronological order. So if I'm a student and my teacher this morning posted an update in their course, but then another teacher posted an update at maybe, lunchtime, and another posted another update this afternoon, when I log in, my updates will be posted in that chronological order with the most recent at the top. But if I go into my teacher's course and I'm on their updates, I can see all of them in that order. So it's chronological, specific to the course, but then on the main landing page, it's specific to the user, anything they're enrolled in. All right, that's a little bit of the navigation around the course. And so, and the general setup. So let me hop back over here. It looks like the first topic was adding materials to a course. Well, I like to do things my own way, folks. And the first thing I want to do is make navigation easier. So we're gonna change up a little bit. You can see here this blue book. It's not hard to find. Most of my courses have an icon, right? But if you leave that blue book as your course icon, when your students log in, or their parents do, this is what they see. This is a screenshot from a second grade student, and all their courses have that same blue book icon. Not very user-friendly, and especially if I'm a non-reader or struggling reader, this is not going to be a friendly view. So the first thing that I like to do before I even touch the materials button is I like to edit the course image so that I can have a customized image, something that stands out a bit. You have two options for this. Option number one, Schoology has some preloaded images in different colors with some different graphics on there. For example, I worked with a PE teacher last week and he selected this image because it looks like PE, right? So that's really easy to just select one of Schoology's pre-done images. You can see there's one that looks more like art, one that looks more like music, social studies, and so forth. So you can just click one of those images and change your course icon. That's going to help your students better than having all these blue books. But one thing I like to do is add a custom image. My background is primary, and so most of my examples tend to be more primary. But if you attach a file right here, you can select an image that you've saved to your computer. So I'm just going to pick one of these. If you've just joined, please mute your side. All right, I'm going to select that image. And so now I have a custom image here. And I do want to show you one other thing too. When you attach the file, that's going straight off your computer. There are some options within Schoology that say, like, get a photo from the web. I don't usually recommend you do those because as web links change or images get taken down, then that will fail. So I save my images to my computer if I want to add them. All right, now we've just made it easier for our students or our parents to navigate to our course. So the first thing on the agenda was adding materials. I'm going to show how to add materials here within the course, up here in resources, and I'm going to make it really simple and show you how to just add add materials directly to your updates. That's 3 different ways we're going to very simply add materials. I'm going to catch my breath for a second. Kimberly, anything I should need to stop on? Or are we good? We look good.
You are good.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start with adding materials. So in your course, in this blank course, I recommend you start off with the first button, add a folder. Now, good reason to add the folder is to keep yourself organized. You must name the folder something. A lot of people are naming it remote learning or learning at home. You can select a color for your folder. You can even add some annotation to that folder to describe what's in it. So find materials for learning at home. You can even add an image to your folder. There's a lot of jazzy things you can do. Some teachers are front-loading their work and publishing their folder on a certain date, like on a Monday. So you can build a folder and preload it with content that won't publish until a certain date. There's a lot of really cool things you can do on this folder. You can also make it unpublished if you are going to be working in that folder and you don't want the work to be published yet. So I'm just going to leave it on the default published and hit create. I highly recommend that you start building your content in folders and be organized from the get-go. And so we added that material right here in the course, add materials, add a folder. All right, let's look at doing the same action up here in our resources. Up in resources, and you can ignore all of my resources. You may be starting with a completely blank menu here, and that is fine. If you want to start building your materials and resources, you can click on Add Resources. What do you think I'm going to suggest you add first? A folder, that's right. I can name that folder anything that I want. I'm going to call it Remote Learning. I'm just going to call it Remote Learning. That's it. Good enough for me. I'm going to give it a color, and I'm going to create it. One thing that you should know is that when Schoology creates new materials, over here it was simple because I had nothing else there, so it's sitting there at the top. But resources or materials that are built over time drop all the way to the bottom. Very opposite of the way updates work. Updates stay at the top, most recent stays at the top. Materials drop to the bottom. So here's that folder I made. Now, if you want to keep it accessible, you can always reorder it. And I'm going to do that just so my folder is at the top. And I just drag it up. Again, if you're just getting started, you're not going to need to worry about too many of these instructions because you don't have rows and rows and rows of files. Really got to clean this file out, don't I? All right. There we go. So I created my folder. Yeah, it does that to me all the time. Don't worry. All you do is hit refresh. When it says, uh-oh, too many attempts or too many commands, just hit refresh and it goes right back. All right, now I've got my folder for remote learning and I can start to build my materials right in that folder. So I can add a subfolder. For example, I was working with specialist teachers earlier, and they're going to make one folder and then make a subfolder for every grade level: kindergarten, first, second, fourth, fifth, sixth. I could make my subfolders for week by week, and I could build out my courses chronologically, week 1, week 2, or I could name them by date, like week of April 13th. So add a folder or add a subfolder and organize yourself from the get-go. I highly recommend that as you're building materials. Once you have that folder created, whether it's back in your course or it's in your resources, you can add materials inside of the folder. So I can add an assignment, a test or quiz, an assessment, file, link, or external tool. We'll look at each of those. A discussion, a page, a media album. You can add a package. I have no idea what that one is. I've never used it. Or you can import already done items from resources. That one I'm going to definitely show you today too. All right, going back into my resources, if I'm building there, You'll just notice it's exactly the same, except file, link are separated out. External tool is down here. And then you are able to add a rubric or a badge, which those are lots of fun, but we won't be going over those in Schoology Basics today. All right, so those are all of your options for building. I'm just going to stay in the course and build because we're going to keep it simple, keep it basic. All right, so now that I've shown you where you can build directly in your course or over in your resources, I also do want to show you building content, just adding content directly to an update. So if I'm in my update, this is like a hello to everybody in the class, or a notice, or a reminder. This is where I'm going to put information that I want them to have in the updates. I have a little bit more limited text editing directly in my updates. I can bold or italicize or underline. I can bump up the font a little, not a lot. I'm going to get rid of some of that extra. And there's a couple of extra tools in there, bullet point list, numbered, and so forth. The insert content button is not very robust in here, but you can add a link directly into the body of the text as well. I usually don't recommend that. I would just add my links right down here at the bottom. But what you can do is, let's say you just want to get started. You don't want to add anything to the materials section of your page, but you do want to make sure that everybody gets this handout, this document that you want them all to read. So you can attach a file directly to your update. Go to my documents and look for anything. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a picture image, just pretend it's a PDF or a Word file, whatever it is. I'll just add it here. So you can add that file right there. So it could be a Word document, PDF, a PowerPoint, whatever kind of document you have saved there, even an image. So you can add a file to your update. You can also link. You can add a link to your update. So you can link out to a website. Or, for example, this one tonight, I could link out to this meeting. So all I would do there is grab a link. I'll say that I want it to go to my YouTube channel. So whatever site that you land on, could be a biology website, just copy that link, the URL, go back to your update, paste the link, name it, and then hit attach. All right, so I've got some text in there. I'm going to tell them whatever I need to tell them. Make sure you use this space as a way to engage and greet them. Maybe say you miss them. So I can give them materials. I can send them to a website. I'm not asking them to do anything with it. It's just an FYI or putting something out there. But what I really like is this little button here, the audio and video recording. You can add an audio or video message directly into your Schoology update. You just have to hit start recording. A little timer starts running up here to indicate that you're recording. You can say, hi, everybody, I miss you so much. Make sure that you X, Y, and Z. Take care of yourself. Be kind to your family. Practice your reading. Whatever you want to tell them. Some teachers are using this space for doing a quick read aloud or a quick science experiment. So you can do this, and there's no video uploading, downloading, editing for you. You just record it, and you can preview it and then insert it. Couldn't be easier. So if you're going to do all this work, you might as well just add a video on there to show them your face and maybe help clarify instructions or tell them you're thinking about them. All right, we looked at adding a file, a link, and an audio video recording. You can also add a poll. That's right here. Just adding a little humor for you folks. All right. So I've got all of that content that I was able to hit post. All of that I just did in an update. I didn't have to create a folder. I didn't have to organize anything. And guess what? I don't have to worry about where it's going to go because it always lands right at the top chronologically. If you were to choose to build your course only using updates, you might not want to direct people to land here in materials. So I'm going to show this, and then I'm going to veer right back into materials. If you choose to operate your course easy and basic through updates only, I do recommend you go up here to course options, hit the drop down, and edit info. At the bottom, you scroll all the way down. No, it's not info. My bad. Hold on. Course options. Course settings. Sorry, edit privacy and course settings. You can scroll to the bottom of that and see this default landing page. I can make it updates, and I do not need to go in and add a bunch of materials to Schoology. You can operate completely out of updates. I do only recommend that if you're just not planning on diving too deep into Schoology. I personally prefer building course materials. I think it's a very powerful tool. I'm going to show you mobile before we get off this call, but that's how I could do everything on updates. It's going to be chronological, and I can't really collect anything this way. And so that's why materials are a powerful tool. I'm going to go back into my course settings. I'm going to change it back to landing on materials, and then we'll continue. Hey, Kimberly, can you just interrupt me if we get a question?
You're good so far. We were asked about the differences between resources and adding the materials in the course, but I think I addressed that in the chat. You might want to show them how to move that getting started materials into resources.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, all right. Let me hop back here. Let me get rid of that one. All right. So the difference between resources and your materials in your course is that resources is like your filing cabinet where you can go and add to, build, change, and then send it out to all your courses. When you build in a course, it exists in that course, you can still send it to other courses through this button, copy to courses, or this button, save to resources. So there's never any lost work on Schoology. There's no one right way to do things. You do what is comfortable for you. For some reason, I've always enjoyed building directly in a course more, and then I add it to my resources later. But some people work completely the opposite. They build everything in resources, and when they feel like they have it just right, they push it out to their courses. If I wanted this folder to go into my resources, I did show you how to add a folder to your resources. But let's say I want that folder to go into this remote learning folder, my resources. I would go to the gear right here, save to resources. It asks me which collection I want it in. Well, I want it in my home, that's my main collection. But I want to put it in the remote learning folder, so I can hit save copy. Now, that folder, if I hit refresh, has that subfolder in it. So that's how I saved something from my course directly to my resources. The opposite is true if let's say I work in this folder, and for right now, I'm going to add a really easy one, discussion. Read and respond. Easy discussion prompt. Read the attached passage. Respond. Oops. I know that is super low level, folks. I'm just showing the tool. Read the attached passage. I would attach that story or maybe link to it. Describe your favorite part. I've created my discussion. I hit submit. All right. Now I want that discussion to go into my course. From resources, I can take that item and add to course. So I kind of showed the first way was building in my materials. how I copied it to my resources. Now I'm in my resources and I'm sending it to my course. Add to course. It's going to bring up all the courses I am enrolled in that I'm an administrator of. Yes, I'm in too many courses. All right, there is my course that I want to put it in. And then I can even drill into, do I want to put it in the folder or just have it on the main page? I'll just let it go in the main page. But just so you're aware, the advanced options on discussions, test, quiz, assignments, I can add due dates and I can enable grading. So again, we're keeping this basic, but just so you know, the deeper level tools are right there. I'm hitting add. Now that item has gone from my resources and it now appears in my course. So the next thing is adding those materials that maybe are already done. One material that I think all of us should probably add to our courses would be our corresponding remote learning packet from the district. So I'm going to show you how to add that next. The Add Materials button, click it, scroll all the way down to Import from Resources. We're not going into your home resources, not your personal collection, not collections that are either created or shared by others with you, but we're going into a group, the far left. Now the group that our remote learning plans resides in is under school resources. So you see this is first group. If I just scroll down, and you're probably not as many groups as I am. Oops, I scrolled past it. You'll see school resources. So there's school resources. I think I can collapse that actually. Sweet, yes I can. Okay, so school resources, if I look under Cincinnati Public Schools, right there is the remote learning plans. I could actually copy the whole file over if I wanted to. I don't really see the point in doing that. But let's say that I teach 4th grade. I can click on that file and hit import. So I'm not downloading and uploading a copy. I'm just pulling that copy over from that group resource, which was the remote learning plans. If I'm in another group, like let's say I'm in a curriculum group, add materials, import from resources. Let's pretend that I teach, oh, this will be funny, 10th grade English language arts. All right, I could go to my ELA headquarters group, go into my 7 to 12 curriculum. I want to get my Pearson, my perspectives, grade 10. I don't want to pull the whole thing over. Maybe I'm just going to work on the unit that we're on right now. I have no idea what unit you guys are on right now, but I'm guessing. Let's say that it's this unit 4, All That Glitters, and I want to pull in the whole unit. So let me back up just a little bit. Unit resources. Let's say all of unit 4, I want to take the whole thing over into my course. I can just check that box and hit import. And then it lets me know that all of these are, what are they called? External tools. They're integrated external tools. Just bear in mind, you would need to teach that content to have it open up for you because it is going to prompt you to log in. I don't have a Pearson account, so when I click this, it's just going to prompt me to open, open in a new window, but then it's going to prompt me to log in. I don't actually have a Pearson account, so I can't walk you all the way through this. But what I was showing was the example of pulling in resources from a group. So the 2 groups that we looked at for this, we looked at pulling in resources from the Cincinnati Public Schools group, school resources, excuse me. We went to Cincinnati Public Schools and the remote learning plans, and we selected the grade we want to add. I had grade 10. Import. Or within our curriculum teams, I can go in, import from resources. I can go into those groups. And maybe I've got something in the Math and Me group. All right. So I showed adding materials. I showed it adding it directly in your course, like something built into Schoology. We started with a folder. We will go into some of these other ones next. We also showed adding materials in your resources. And we created that remote learning folder right there. We also looked at adding materials just to your updates and how you can add files, links, and even embed video and polls. We looked at saving our resources, or excuse me, our materials in our course to our resources. And we also looked at pulling those resources from our resource file and adding them to our courses. That was a lot. Whew. All right. Let's hop back on the agenda and see how we're doing. I think I showed about 4 ways to add that. Discussion boards, I showed a discussion, but I'm going to go into a little bit more depth on that. Moving materials around, let me show that real quick. Let's say that you've started building and this order doesn't make sense for what you're doing. You actually want them to go to the Getting Started folder and then do the discussion. You can click on an item and drag it to either change the order of the materials, or if you hover over a folder, you can actually place it inside the folder. So you can start to organize your materials right on your course page. So that's how you can clean up your materials. Just hover and then drag and drop. All right, right away my course is a little bit more cleaned up. Let me go back over here. I am going to show the Google Drive app when we show adding an assignment and parent access codes. Okay, I think I can hit both of those in a few minutes and have ample time for Q&A. So we're going to look at, I'll go to the Google Drive app next. All right, so this is an important thing for you to note. If you would like to add an assignment and be able to add it more like a, right, I don't know why this happens when I'm presenting, my screen doesn't open in the right size sometimes. So let me fix this. All right, when you add materials and you want to add an assignment, a lot of people love Google Classroom because you can take any template and it shoots one out to every student. Their name is put on it. It's shared with them. It's real easy to share materials. You can actually do that in Google. You can do a Google Drive assignment in Schoology. But you'll have to do 2 things first. You'll have to connect the Google Drive, connect your Google Drive to your resources, and then connect in your assignments to your Google Drive. So I'm going to show those real quick. You'll go into resources, but then it's over here on the far left. Scroll on down to apps. Now, my Google Drive resource app is already added. Well, okay. Let me just remove it. There we go. Perfect. All right, so this is how it'll appear for you if you have never connected your Google Drive. You'll just click connect. If you are doing like I am and you are signed in and syncing to Chrome, then it'll pop right up for you. You'll just sign in inside of Schoology. It's letting you know that Schoology will have permission to access your Google Drive. You can allow this. And now your Google Drive will appear in your Schoology resources. Just important for you to know that that's there. You have to turn that on to get Google Drive assignments to work. So now back in my course, if I click Add Materials and I add an assignment, I'm going to give it a name. That's required, that name that makes sense. I'm going to give instructions here. I don't like that it says description. We're not describing it, we're giving instructions. You have a much more robust text editing bar. So like just like a Google Doc or a Word doc, you can edit your text up here. There's a few extra buttons that I would love to go into, but I'm going to keep this on the basic level. Give my instructions. Now this button will appear when your Google Drive is attached. the first time you click it, you will have to sign in again, because what you were doing, you were signing in to open your drive to resources, and then you sign in one more time to allow assignments to access your drive. I've already done it, so it will bypass that for me. And it just opens my Google Drive. Now, I do like to keep all my templates in one folder. If I search up here, it searches my Google Drive for my templates. And if any of you are Google Classroom users, you know what I'm referring to when I say templates. If you've never used either one, don't worry. I'll have resources for you. So there's my templates for Schoology assignments. And then these are some samples that I've shared. So I'll just stick this one on there for now. You select the item and hit attach. Now what you can see is what it says is it's giving that document and creating a copy of our file for each of our students. I can add things like a due date. I can give it a grading category. As a matter of fact, I have to select this, so you can just select ungraded since we're not grading right now. Later, if that changes and you need to connect your gradebook, I'm going to show you where the all-in-one guide is so you can get guides to all of this stuff. You can select to grade it as is as numeric. I really love rubrics, but I'm going to stay on the basic level. Just it's worth exploring the rubrics here. They're great. And then these features at the bottom, I can individually assign this either to one student or a group of students. I can lock it if I don't want submissions to come in yet. I can unpublish it if I'm not quite done editing the assignment. And yeah, that's it. I can't copy it to course because I'm enrolled in more than 50 courses. That probably won't be your case. All right, hit create. So now I've got this assignment. When I click on it, my instructions are here. The template is here. And every student in my course is going to get a copy. I don't actually have students in this course. It's an empty course. But every student would have a copy, and I'd have a row for each one of their names. All right. So that was adding the Google Drive app. And the reason I did that with a material was an assignment, because that makes the most sense to use Google Drive assignments. Whew. All right. I've done a lot with materials. We looked at updates, but I'm kind of neglecting this right panel of the page, which is my calendar. Now you'll notice that because I gave that assignment a due date, it shows up right there under my calendar. But I just want to show you that you can click on the calendar. And so you might want to add that we are having an event next Wednesday, class meeting on Google Meet. All right, I can write any description that I want about that. As much information as I want to put, I can edit that text. I can link to things. I can link directly to my Google Meeting. Let's pretend that this is going to be the code. Oops, it's this one. And then I can go into my course, add that link to join our Google Meet. All right, I'm just showing some examples of what you can put on the calendar. You hit create, and now that appears on the calendar, but what's really cool is it's also going to appear right here in the course. And then for all your students, it appears on the main landing page. It will be right here in their upcoming things. So it's great to use the built-in calendar in your Schoology course. Right, let me hop back over here. I think we're nearing the end. Oh, the parent access codes. All right, I have a whole session coming up about connecting parents at 8 p.m. this evening, but I'm going to show it in your Schoology course. So since I do not have any members in this course, just me by myself, I'm going to open another sample course where I have a few members. All right, to access your parent access codes, so if you want to see if your parents are connected, on the far left panel, scroll down to members, click on members. In a quick glance, you can see who is connected, who has a connected parent and who does not. Like Grace does not have a connected parent, Chatan does not, Jennifer does not. But I can see that Angela and Hannah both have a connected parent because the parent's name appears in gray below their name. All right, your parent access codes. They are not here. Not share this access code over here. That is to join as a student. Really not any reason for you to give that out because your students are rostered by PowerSchool. But the parent access codes is a small blue hyperlink right beneath that. Click on parent access codes. You'll be prompted to download a CSV file. I have previously downloaded one where I've blocked out the actual codes, so I'll share that now. You'll open your CSV file, and this is about what it looks like. Obviously, it will have more members in it for you. But you can pretty much just ignore the first couple of fields, the Schoology ID and unique ID. You don't need to worry about that. But you can look here under column F as in Frank. Sometimes when I'm feeling feisty, I say F as in frustrating. All right, so under column F is the parent access codes. I like to bump up my font. And then here's another don't. Do not share this whole file with the students' parents in your class. Don't email them this file because it has everybody's in it. But if I'm talking to Grace's parent, I can provide this access code. Now, I've got steps in my other training session all about how to share the login with parents, what it looks like to log in with parents. But for the sake of time, we've got 15 minutes left, and I'd much rather open it up to questions. So looking back at our agenda, I've showed you several ways to add materials to a course, including using updates only, how to add assignments, files and links, or a discussion board. I specifically looked at discussion boards, how to move materials around in your course, dragging and dropping, how to save the materials from your course to your resources, and I also showed you vice versa, from resources to your course. We added the Google Drive app, and we looked at adding Google Drive assignments, so adding a Google Drive doc or template to your assignments. And we just looked at how to access the parent access codes. I'm going to pull up the Schoology all-in-one document and take, Kimberly, can you give me some of the first questions?
Yeah, could you please walk through how to enable your calendar? It's under the account settings. You scroll down on that very first page because they want to know how to share their calendars.
Sure.
Or at least sync them together.
And we'll do that now. This is a Schoology all-in-one guide. I'm going to refer to that in a minute. Let's go right here in our course. I'm going to go back to that other completely empty course. All right. Are you? What was the question on the calendar? Was it within the course or just within my?
How to
profile?
enable it? So go up to Rosemary Jane and hit your drop down.
Okay. Down in our settings.
Yep.
This? Okay. All right.
Go to settings, scroll all the way down right there to, well, yours says disabled, but normally it would say enable right there. So show them what you did there.
Okay. So access your Schoology calendar from a different tool, i.e. Outlook or Google Calendar. So I can do that. Is that what you wanted me to show them, Kimberly?
Yes, sorry, I muted myself, but yes, that was the question, is how to get those two to sync together, to your Google Calendar with your Schoology calendar.
So they work and play well with others, right?
Correct.
Yes, they do work and play well with others. That is, I do want to caution you though, that's a user-specific setting. So I've enabled that for myself, for my Google Calendar to my Schoology calendar. That doesn't mean it's for all my courses or all my students. So just keep that in mind. All right, other questions?
That's the only one that showed up in chat, so you should probably open it to the room at this point.
Sure, just use your best Netiquette if you want to unmute and go ahead and share your question. If somebody else starts talking first, we'll play it like popcorn and just somebody sit back and let's go. I'll take questions. You can unmute yourself at this time by just clicking on your microphone at the bottom.
So Rosemary, this is Bob. I was the one who actually asked the question about linking the calendar, and I'm actually open into my Schoology account. And when I go to share your Schoology calendar, the button that is there is disable. But yet I've been scheduling some meetings on Google Meet, right? And I expected those to appear here on my Schoology calendar, but it's not linking. And again, when I do this drop down and I go to share my Schoology calendar, I have the disable button showing, not enable.
Okay, well, mine was actually on disable at first too. Kimberly had me
I can answer that question actually.
Yeah, thanks, Kimberly.
So once you enable it in Schoology, you need to open your Google Calendar, and maybe I can let me open mine and then we'll grab it. Oh, you've got it? Great. So then you need to
I just enabled it, and now I'm going to my Google Calendar. Go ahead, Kimberly. And
great. So now you need to add a new calendar. It should be over on the left.
Right here, plus.
And then you're going to from URL. And then you need to go back to your Schoology account, copy that URL, and paste it into that add new calendar link, that one right there. Paste it there. I would make that publicly accessible if that's what you want to be able, the kids to be able to see what you're doing there, and go ahead and add that calendar. And
but do bear in mind, it's not the course calendar then, Bob. So you would want to be adding things to your profile
Google calendar.
Google Calendar, it goes to your profile, and then you would still need to, or vice versa, you could add it here. But does that make sense? It's related to your profile, not to your individual course.
Yes, and it does take up to 24 hours for those calendars to sync. So it may not work until tomorrow at this time if you do that. It probably will work long before that, but that's the caution you're given. Did that help, Bob?
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted myself again. Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yay, Kimberly. I haven't gotten that question yet. All right.
All right, you've got another question in the chat. How can we use Gradebook to keep track of grades until we know what to do grades for fourth quarter?
Yeah, I have a couple of recommendations there. I don't have many members. Let me go to one with members in it. I clicked the same one. All right. If I go into my Gradebook, I can I can assign the category of ungraded to any item, right? And then later, like let's say we're going to start grading, I could go into this assignment. I don't know which assignment that was, sorry. Let's say it's this one. And I can change the grading category. Okay, I didn't even have grading enabled, so bear with me. So the category that we could use right now is ungraded, and then that way they're still doing the work. But as soon as I change the category later to whatever it is, it will appear in the gradebook as a graded assignment. So we can create assignments now and give them as ungraded. Now, bear in mind, that still means you can go into that assignment and see that student's progress. You would have to go into them individually. So that's kind of a bit of a bummer, but let's say that they turned in, a discussion isn't the best example because discussion grades a little differently. Kind of scroll down and look at it. But if I had a test quiz or an assignment, I can go into that submission in the course. I'm going to get a prompt that it will be over here to the right that an assignment has been submitted. I can click on that and I can click on the individual and see the progress. I can even give formative feedback and all of that, but the category is ungraded. And then later, if I needed to, I can change that category to whatever category I need it to be.
And then the other option is to disconnect your Schoology from PowerSchool, leave your categories the same, and then just turn off the sync, and I'll post the directions for that in our chat.
Yeah,
and
that takes care of the short term, but it still does add the assignment to the end of the school year as homework with 100 points.
That's all the questions in chat, Rosemary, so you can open it to the floor.
All right. Anybody else? Got about 7 minutes left. This is the quietest group I've ever had on virtual PD.
All right.
Brad Gerard. I had a question. What there a way on your upcoming events to change it where you can see past events? In other words,
Oh,
like you gave an assignment.
So right here, I'll
Events
just go to the
is
main
what
landing
is it?
page. Huh?
The under upcoming
Mhm.
events or past assignments.
Yep, if you click on calendar, here's what's really cool. You can have as many calendars as you want displayed. So I have I'm in 224 courses and groups. So that's why I have a limited number. But let's just pretend that you had, these that you're displaying. So where are we today? God, I don't even know what the date is. It's the 14th. So when you click on the calendar, then you can see these past events and assignments in here. Does that make sense? I can't think of one that I have that has an assignment on it, but I would just view it in the
I
calendar.
was just curious if they could stay up.
Huh?
I can see it in the calendar and I can see my past assignments. I was wondering if like, when you post something and a kid's assignment was due, say last Friday, then the assignment goes away, where it'd be nice to be able to see the assignment staying up and you could just click on the assignment.
Okay, so you can access it either back through the calendar or back in the course, but upcoming is that there's not a past button, but you can still see it all if you either go into the calendar or into the course itself. I'll go into the course. Even though that's going to take me to this current assignment, I can go to any one of the, oh, sorry, I picked an event instead of an assignment. Most of the things on my calendar are events, but I can go in within the course and then that history still lives there. So if they've not turned it in, it doesn't show upcoming, it shows past due. So it's not going to go away until they've taken action on it.
That makes sense. And I understand that. I was just trying to see, and I guess that's the thing is we don't see the overdue, they do.
They do.
So they post it and then it shows late. So I was just curious.
Yep. So that's not going to go away for me until I turn it in. So I leave these here on purpose. Like this one is from July 17, 2018, because it's like just a training sample. But it's going to stay there as a student until I turn it in or until the course archives.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
Okay. Yeah, Rosemary, do you have any classes where the sections are linked? If not, I sent you a link in our chat. Tanya would like to see how updates are for multiple classes.
Yeah,
because it depends on whether if your sections are linked or not.
Yep. So here's an example of some linked sections. This is a computer teacher, Jennifer Smith, and she's given me permission to use her course as examples and trainings. So these are linked sections. And so all of her fourth grade computer sections are linked together. When she goes to updates and she posts them, okay, she writes her update. You can see it's going to all four sections of your course. Nice thing from within the course, you can actually, if you were to decide, well, I don't want it to go to that section or that section, it's just for these two, you can customize it there. If I just refresh, if I wanted to go to all four sections when it's linked, they just automatically all come up together when you're in the linked course. Now, another cool thing, from the home page, I can post an update, but I've got this post to button. So I can start to put in computer 4, and then I can start to select all of those courses. The nice thing is, maybe I also, I have another course, I can also copy it to that course. So I can copy this to multiple courses, and it'll go to all of them, that one update. Now, what it does on my side, and for that one, I don't want to put in real courses, so I'll just put my practice courses in. All right, that's good enough. These are practice courses. So let's say that you went to your link courses and you've got this update, you hit post. You're going to see that update 3 times, but that's because that same update went out to all the linked sections. So however many you link together or you post it to, you get it that many times, they're all getting the exact same update. So that's how it looks to send an update to a linked course.
Okay, that's the questions I have in chat.
Awesome. We are, oh, there we go. Where do we go to link courses? Yes, I can show you both. So to link your courses, and let me just pause since we are right at the end of this. I thought I had it pulled up. I think I put it in chat. The all-in-one guide.
You put it in chat, and I've also posted it in chat, so I think we're good.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you. So if we want to learn how to link our courses, it's actually the first one under courses. And a lot of teachers doing that right now, linking your sections, also changing your section names. I'm just going to live changes here because you really ought to change your section name before you link them. Just my opinion. All right. Change your section name, link a course, how to add or remove members, all that is there. There were questions about the calendar. Kimberly, didn't you say that's on here too? I've never answered that question.
You answered that question. You're being asked if they're going to go over conferences in the 8 p.m. webinar.
If we're going to go over Schoology conferences?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Kimberly and I are going to be scheduling a session, I believe, on Friday. We haven't set the time yet, have we?
Yes.
So, yes, there will be a Schoology conferences session. It will be Friday. Kimberly and I will probably get together on scheduling that tonight.
All right, I'm going to share the link to get credit for your training tonight.
Awesome.
For contact hours if you need them. It's in the chat.
Super. Make sure when you fill this out that you note you can include your name and employee ID number if you need contact hours. It's not required. We still want your feedback either way. So topics that we covered today was Schoology. Indicate what school you're in. And then it was 6 p.m. tonight. You joined a virtual PD session, video conferencing. So virtual PD session. All right. You can indicate the 30 minutes to an hour mark. Trainers that held your session, I am Rosemary Jane, and Kimberly McLean moderated the chat. So you can rate that, and then you can just rate our overall performance on this virtual PD. Add your questions or comments. If you want more training opportunities, we link directly to our virtual PD offerings right here in the form. So you can go right there and look for the next session that you want to attend. There's a link to our content or Tech Talk course. And then if none of that is working for you and you have some very specific questions that you need more support in, we do have a link for further training opportunities. So that's it. Thank you for your time this evening. It's always a pleasure working with everybody virtually. I know this is a crazy new world we're in, but if you need anything at all, the Learning Technologies team, we are here solely to support you at this time. We're here for instructional technology support. You're welcome, Lisa. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Before you leave,